Aries, hello. September promises to be eventful and important. We have two eclipses, powerful planetary transitions, and aspects that will personally affect your career, relationships, and inner state. Get ready to remember things or write them down. We will have a lot of specifics. But before that, I ask you to subscribe to the channel, put likes or dislikes, and if you have questions, remarks, or suggestions, don't keep them to yourself. I'm waiting for your activity in the comments. In September, we are expecting a total lunar eclipse and then a partial solar eclipse. This is a purely karmic story. It is also important that on September 1, the great karmic teacher Saturn leaves your sign and in retrograde motion returns to Pisces. It turns out Saturn has already shown you what to expect in 2026 and 2027. But for now it gives you a breather until February 14, when it will enter Aries again. You have an excellent chance to reflect on the experience you've already received and prepare yourself. Before moving on to the main events, I want to note that this forecast should be considered not only by those who have the Sun in Aries, but also by those who have the Ascendant in this sign, as well as those who have a prominent Moon in Aries or a stellium. For those who want to get an individual consultation, to draw up a personal horoscope for relationships, business, work, to take the maximum from your natal chart in money and in love, and in spiritual growth in general, to change yourself and your life for the better and look into the future without fear and anxiety, then please write to my email, which is on the screen now. So, on September 1, Saturn leaves the sign of Aries and returns to the sign of Pisces, where it will stay until February 4. Since March 2025, Saturn has been in Aries. This is a time when you could feel the pressure of responsibility, limitations, and the need to grow up. Many Aries could feel that life suddenly slowed down, new duties appeared, long-term projects or tests of endurance. However, now from September 1, 2025 Saturn temporarily returns back to Pisces and will stay there until February 14, 2026, before finally moving into your sign. The pressure that has been felt in recent months will ease. You will be able for a while to step away from the issues of a global restructuring of yourself and return to inner work. Pisces for Aries is the 12th house, the house of the subconscious, completions, and hidden processes. Themes that were relevant in 2023-2024 will return: psychological work on yourself, getting rid of old fears, ending toxic ties and habits, possibly returning to spiritual practices, the necessity to close old debts. This can be literally, for example, financial obligations, and karmically, to bring to completion projects or relationships that have been dragging on. In February 2026, Saturn will finally enter Aries and begin a new cycle for your sign. For now, it was a kind of rehearsal. You could feel what exactly prevents you from moving forward. On September 2, Mercury will move into Virgo, where it will stay until September 18. For you, a time begins when thoughts and attention switch to the practical sides of life. Unlike your usual swiftness and desire to act immediately, there will be a need to sort out details, check the small things, and deal with what is usually postponed. This concerns everyday work and tasks that require precision, analysis, and neatness. You may notice that during this period, organizational moments attract your attention, how everything is arranged, where there are shortcomings, what needs to be corrected. There is a desire to put things in order, in documents, in the schedule, even at home or on the desk. Work takes on a more methodical character, and everything connected with routine is perceived as a necessary base for moving further. At the same time, this transit makes you listen to the body. Virgo is connected with the topic of health, and Mercury here reminds you that it is worth paying attention to nutrition, daily regimen, and load. It is a good time to start new useful habits or reconsider old ones, because the mind becomes attentive exactly to details, which means it is easier to notice what serves your well-being and what gets in the way. In communication during this period, criticality may appear. Aries, who usually speaks directly and quickly, can become more observant and notice small mistakes in others. It is important not to turn this into nitpicking, otherwise you can hurt loved ones or colleagues. But if you use the energy wisely, you can brilliantly cope with analysis, study, and any tasks where systematic thinking is important. In general, this transition of Mercury into Virgo gives you a chance to slow down for a while, focus on specifics, and put things in order in your affairs and in your head. This is a slightly unusual state because Virgo's element is earthly and calm, and it teaches you patience and attentiveness. But exactly this will allow you in September to lay the foundation for larger steps that will require clarity and collectedness. On September 3, Mercury will be in a square to Uranus. Therefore, September 3 can feel like a shake-up in the usual system. There may arise a feeling of irritation or fatigue from monotony, a desire to suddenly change something in the routine, to look for novelty. There may be a desire to step away from routine, to switch to something non-standard, creative, even risky. From the point of view of the mental flow, this is a day when ideas can come suddenly, but they can be fragmentary and not well thought out. It is important for you not to succumb to the temptation to plunge into cardinal changes on the spur of the moment. It is better to direct your inner activity to updating methods, to adapt a new technology, to try another approach to tasks, but within the framework of the current order. In this way you will get the benefit of Uranus without destroying the stability of already well-tested processes. On September 4, there will be a square from Mars to Jupiter. There may be a situation when partnership obligations, teamwork, or dependence on other people's decisions interferes with personal plans related to home, housing, or inner growth. For you, this is an aspect of stretching. On the one hand, you want to build your own family-based support, and at the same time actively move through partnership or external connections. But balance is achieved with difficulty. There is a risk of hasty promises or actions for the sake of relationships, partnership, which later are difficult to fulfill. Possible conflicts with partners, personal or business, especially if family or financial issues are involved. Dangerous is the overestimation of resources, the desire to take on more than you can actually pull. So we have reached one of the main events of the month. On September 7, there will be a total lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. And if solar eclipses usually give the beginning of something new, lunar ones more often draw a line, bring to light what has long been ripening, and require letting go. For Aries, this will affect the most hidden sector of the horoscope, the 12th house. This is the house of dreams, secrets, the inner world, and it is not about outer success but about what lives deep inside. There may be such a feeling as if life suddenly pressed pause. Outwardly, events may go their own way, but inside it is as if a portal opens. Old experiences, secret fears, memories that already seem forgotten begin to surface. Everything you usually push away and don't want to see, the eclipse will pull to the surface. And there is meaning in this. It is a moment of cleansing. For some of you, some secret story may end, for example, a relationship that no one knew about, or an inner struggle that you long hid even from yourself. For someone, it may be connected with behind-the-scenes work, with projects that dragged on for a long time but did not give results. The eclipse seems to say enough, this door is closing, and how easily you enter a new cycle will depend on whether you can let go. During these days, dreams can be very vivid. Prophetic symbols may come that are worth writing down. Intuition is heightened, and answers come not through logic but through images, signs, sensations. And although Aries is usually more accustomed to relying on direct action, at this moment it is important to listen to what the subconscious is whispering. There is also the other side. You may feel tiredness, loss of strength, a desire to be alone, and this is normal. An eclipse does not require activity, it requires inner work. It prepares the soil so that in just a few weeks you can step up to a new level. If we imagine the whole picture, then September 7 for you is like the evening before an important journey. Everything is already packed, the extra things are removed, the road is ahead. And there is a special state in this evening, a little sadness about what remains behind, a little excitement before the future, and the feeling that right now you need to be honest with yourself. On September 10-11, there is a convergence of three objects at once, the Sun, Mercury, and the tail of the dragon in your 6th house. All attention seems to pull into one point: work processes, obligations, other people's mistakes that need to be corrected, a to-do list going beyond the horizon. The Sun illuminates this sphere, Mercury adds constant thoughts, analysis, dialogues, and the South Node pulls out old tales, unfinished business, old behavior patterns. All this must be let go of. At the same time, the sign of Virgo itself requires maximum concreteness. Everything related to analysis, reports, health, and schedule will surface. Old health problems may return if they were ignored. Old work questions that were not brought to completion may emerge. It is important that this conjunction goes against the background of the eclipse corridor. That is, this is not just a pile-up at work, it is an indicator that you are finishing a whole phase in your life connected with how you work, how you take care of the body, how you distribute your forces. September 10-11 are felt as peak days, inside irritation from routine and pressure accumulates, but exactly this irritation is needed so that you decide on changes. On September 18, you will have a noticeable change of focus. Mercury leaves Virgo and enters Libra. In Virgo, the mind was occupied with small things. Now your attention switches to people. This is the zone of partnership and empathy. You will want to talk more, discuss, negotiate. Interest in someone else's point of view will appear, even if you usually are used to pushing your own line. Here Mercury immediately finds itself in the thick of events. In Libra, Venus and Mars have already settled. Directly opposite Jupiter is handing out unrealizable promises, and in the air hangs the energy of the approaching eclipse. Get it? For you, this means that communication, partnership, and dating will become the arena of the main events of September. September 19 can become for you a point of deep and unexpected clarity. This is the best day of the mind. Your thoughts are clear, your words precise and swift, and logic is irresistible. There is no fog and no illusions, only purely brilliant solutions and exact logical conclusions. In such moments we discover in ourselves something greater than we are used to being. All this is thanks to a lucky aspect from Uranus and Pluto to Mercury. Everything you say sounds convincing, everything you decide turns out to be correct, and everything you build seems to seek embodiment on its own. From the 19th to the 20th of September, Venus moves into a new sign and fills your 6th house with comfort and pleasure. This means that pleasant changes will enter everyday life into the atmosphere of work, routine, and habitual affairs. Venus will also bring joy to the sphere of health. There will appear a desire to take care of yourself, to lead a more harmonious and healthy lifestyle. It is a good time to work with the body, sign up for a massage, or simply give yourself a bit more attention and care. So we have reached September 21. This is one of the strongest days of the year for you. On this day there will be a solar eclipse in Virgo. For you this means that life literally changes the rules of the game in how you build your schedule, how you distribute your forces, how you take care of your body, and how you work. Such eclipses often bring events, a change of job, a change in the format of duties, new conditions in the team, or a push to take health seriously. It is important that this solar eclipse is on the south node. That is, it is connected with the completion of old models. September 21 can be felt both as a crisis and as a liberation. Events can be abrupt, sudden changes at work, unexpected news about health, or the realization that the old order simply no longer works. But all this is not an accident, but a point of restructuring. In essence, this eclipse in Virgo switches you into a discipline mode. It requires a new system, new rules, new care for yourself, and if you follow this energy, you can literally reboot your lifestyle. You should not be afraid of the transformational nature of this eclipse, because you will have two wings of support on these days from Uranus and Neptune, which, being part of a favorable and rare sail configuration, will give this eclipse their strength and power. This eclipse will be much more constructive than many others. Usually eclipses are felt as a crisis or a sharp turn, but the trines to Pluto and Uranus give not chaos, but a chance for a powerful renewal, through clarity, inner strength, and readiness for change. It will be felt not as a breakdown, but as a breakthrough, as if you understood that you can no longer live the old way, and in the same second you see a new path, how and what needs to be changed. And not at the level of emotions, but at the level of the system of health, work, and the organization of life. September 22 is the day of the autumn equinox, and here the sun also moves into the sign of Libra. The sail configuration still retains its influence, so there will be many events in general, not only for you, but globally in the world. Also, all your planets will be in direct motion. This will also give dynamics. This is a good time for a fast start. There will be an opportunity to earn money because there will be a lot of strength thanks to Mars, which on September 2 also changes sign and enters your 8th house. And this, as is known, is the house of sexual energy, the house of big institutional capital and shared money with a partner. So this is a time of passion, sexual adventures, as well as activity in matters of taxes, loans, inheritance, and investments. Do not forget that as the planet of action, Mars also brings with it risk and extreme situations. Therefore, it is often associated with sex and death, since these are boundary states for us. Mars in the 8th house is transformation through crisis, sometimes confrontation or conflict. In the positive, it is a powerful force for growth, transformation, change, and, for example, a reboot of financial strategies. In the negative, conflicts because of shared or other people's money or jealousy. Mars will be in this sector until November 4, and this is an excellent time for active actions, but with awareness of all the risks. On September 24, there will be a square between Mars from the 8th house to Pluto in the 11th house. On this day, you will have the desire to show your power, to achieve the desired by force, to control someone, or even to influence the will of a collective. This can manifest in the sexual sphere or in financial questions. This tension can play out within a group, friendship, project, or community. Even if the conflict is not expressed outwardly, inside the feeling will grow that you are forced to adapt to someone else's rules, to make compromises where you don't want to. You may catch yourself thinking, why am I even tolerating this? If you realize what exactly causes the conflict, you will gain power over the situation. But if you go into a forceful scenario, then relationships or projects into which much effort has already been invested can crack at the seams. In general, this month you will have many important events, and there will also be a lot of strength and energy to move forward, and clarity of mind to make the right decisions. I wish you good luck and see you soon.